Hello, everyone. Welcome to Backyard Musings, broadcasting live from Apple Valley. I'm Steve.
And I'm Scott.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Got some weird happenings that, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, you could look at it a different way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? As reported by DailyMail.com, Texas Governor Greg Abbott announced that the 1.1 million names eliminated from the state voter database included non-citizens, felons, and dead people. So here's a breakdown of how it shook out, and we're going to try and pick this apart without any bias. I think we're going to try to. Over 6,500 non-citizens. That sounds. Let's get them out. They shouldn't be voting, right?
Yeah.
That's a no-brainer.
That's disturbing, actually. It's that they're even on there.
So. Well, there was a report that NGOs, non-governmental organizations, were at the DMVs and at wherever as they were getting their licenses to sign them up to vote, illegals. Okay, over 6,000 voters who have a felony. So this might be someone who was a voter and that got convicted and never got purged, right? Convicted felons cannot vote.
Somebody dropped the ball there. That's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, if it was 600 or 60, maybe.
Well, maybe it was under the radar and they didn't,
I guess.
They didn't notice that they went to.
There's got to be somebody that's part of their job description, right? And they're obviously not taking care of business if that's happened, because that should be a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Right. It's like if you're a felon, you're not allowed to own a gun. No, right. Normally,
but if they're not checking IDs and if they don't have if he's in prison, then assume these, you can't vote from prison. So
right.
Assuming these guys are out of prison.
But if you get an absentee ballot mailed to your house, your parents' house, your ex-wife's house, your wife's house, girlfriend,
you'll vote.
Somebody fills it out.
Yeah.
This one's disturbing as well.
Over 450,000 deceased people. They're not going to be voting Democrat. That's the 3 a.m. unverified signature people. Right there. They're gone. Thank you.
What are they doing on there to begin with? I mean, that's just...
Well, they can't
remove
one
themselves. State, right?
And
you're talking about Texas.
Yeah, Texas. And you'd have to have power of attorney to remove your spouse if your spouse died, like my sister died. Has anybody removed her from the rolls? I don't know. Okay, over 463,000 voters on the suspense list. So what is a suspense list?
Good question.
Your county does not know your address or thinks you have moved. That's the suspense list. So they go out and they check. And they put a hold on the suspense. Well, here they purged them, which means they went out and checked. You're not there, or you're not in the state, or you're a felon, or whatever, or you're dead, and then you're moved off voter rolls. That's a big number.
That's a lot of people.
It's a big number. Between
that and the deceased people, that's probably more people than we have in our county. Well, maybe not.
Some could fall through the cracks. Like if you don't vote for 2 years, they'll send a notice to you saying, "Hey, are you still here? Are you alive?" And if you respond, then fine, you're off the suspense list. If you don't respond, you're on the suspense list. Okay, so over 134,000 voters who responded to an address confirmation notice that they had moved. Okay, that's legit. Thank you for informing the state that you moved and responding to those notices.
Proactive. We like that.
Yeah. Over 65,000 voters who failed to respond to a notice of examination. This means that a voter registration is under review for whatever reason.
Okay.
Good. Like me, I transferred my I was a Republican, then I transferred it to the Modern Whig Party. Modern Whigs, because they're centrist. They're like pro small government, pro state rights. Right, so state rights, like Roe v. Wade went to the states, strong military, right, limited government, federal government. So, anyways, that's why I did it, but there's not enough momentum. Yeah. Okay,
But you're classified in that group as an independent, right?
Yeah. Well, I get a lot of Republican emails.
Yeah, but I mean, they can't really call you Republican. They can't really call you Democrat. So
I go with the conservative side. Yeah,
independent. So.
Over 19,000 voters who requested to cancel their registration.
Interesting.
That is interesting.
I mean, I
My
don't
brother
agree
doesn't
with that.
vote.
I don't agree with that. I mean, like we were talking before we went on, that there's a lot of people that
J-Dubs. Right?
well, there's a lot of people that gave up a lot for us to be able to have this right to vote, and to, you know, it's part of our makeup
All right,
in our
yeah.
country and our rights. So,
You were saying that
but anyway,
Jehovah Witness, they don't vote.
I believe the Jehovah Witness, yeah, they
These
don't
might be
agree and voted.
converts to the J-Dubs, and
Could
then they
be.
go and cancel their voter.
Could be.
So,
Or just
okay.
people that are fed up, but still, that, I mean, you got to be pretty. My son asked me one time after we voted, this is several years ago, and he goes, "So was it the vote that we cast and the candidate that we voted for didn't win? Is that a wasted vote?" I go, "No, it's not a wasted vote. You're expressing your opinion through the right to vote, and sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. You know, it's like a sporting event, but a little bit more at stake than a sporting event. And yeah, elections do have consequences. So
some of these things
you got to pay attention, right, to what's going on.
Some of these things fall through the cracks, and you're going to tell us about one man.
So this is an interesting story. So an Austin man with a government security clearance who votes in every presidential election
every 4 years.
Yeah, he may have been caught up in the purge, which is interesting. So he asked to remain anonymous due to his job, but his wife, Ann, said that they took their 18-year-old son to the Travis County building to get registered for his first election a few days ago. Good for them. Good for them. So while there, she and her husband checked their voter registration status and were shocked to learn her husband's registration had been canceled, which is that's kind of concerning, right?
Yeah.
The county worker said, "You're still on it, but your husband isn't." So, you know, why did this happen? So Ann explained, adding that he last voted in 2021, which I have a question about that, but whatever, in a local referendum that aimed to restrict the homeless population and where they would set up camps.
We don't know how he voted, but that's when he voted.
That's not really.
So he does the presidential, so that was 2020, but then he voted on a state one. Okay, here's how the conversation went further. The county worker, she said, "If you haven't voted in a couple of years, they're just taking people off." Ann recalled, "I was like, why would they do that?"
I asked the same question.
She said, the county worker said, "To make room for other voters." That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, what are we talking
about?
Not
like
here?
There's a finite number.
That should be a bottomless pit, except, I mean, of legitimate voters, not, you want to make room, do a purge.
That was a bonehead response from the county.
I agree.
That wasn't without thought. My personal opinion is that it shouldn't matter.
Probably a California transplant.
I guess this is the county worker saying, my personal opinion is that it shouldn't matter. Once you're registered to vote, you shouldn't just take people off because they're not voting enough for you.
Exactly.
So maybe the policy that county was putting down was to make room for other voters, which was ridiculous. She was just repeating that because her personal opinion said it shouldn't matter. Some people only vote in presidential election. Her husband's voter status was reinstated that same day, but Ann worries her husband might not have been able to vote at all if they hadn't happened to check the registration.
Yep.
That's crazy.
And that's a legitimate concern.
Get turned away.
Yeah.
What? She worried Abbott's promise to have the strongest election laws in the nation is actually disenfranchising Texans.
Well, you know, there's, like I said earlier about that county worker or clerk being a California transplant, there's been a lot of people that have moved to Texas for a number of reasons. And I'm sure a lot of those people have been people that maybe the normal red state of Texas wouldn't want to have there, but we don't have laws restricting that. So you take what you get, you know, if you want to move there. The problem is that when they move there, they try to change stuff.
They bring their baggage.
Yeah. I mean, I can use a great example, the great state of Colorado. We have family there. That's a beautiful state, kind of like California. It's a beautiful state.
Elk hunting.
But it is definitely leaning more blue than it is red. It's unfortunate. So,
yeah.
I mean, we talked about that.
Well, it's because of the population centers. Denver and Aurora. Yeah.
Yeah. Same idea. Their metropolitan areas are a little on the liberal side, and the outlying areas, the rural areas, are more conservative. So,
and there's just not a lot of population in the rural. I mean, they're all getting to the city, and then they
Yeah.
They talk with their friends and then they
Wrapped
get
up in it.
wrapped up.
Yeah. But this is
Yeah.
concerning. And again, I mean, I don't really have a whole lot of, I don't have anything bad to say about Governor Abbott. He seems to have done a pretty good job. He seems to be pretty proactive down at the border, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of this is a big deal. I mean, you're messing with people's ability to vote.
Yeah.
And that's not right. They need to take a little bit more action, like the purging list that we just saw. That's kind of concerning.
I think our producer needs to contact the state and find out, what are they doing on this the suspense list.
Yeah,
and,
maybe Governor Abbott wouldn't mind coming on our show and
Yeah.
explaining himself. So
we've had celebrities watch before because they've commented on our stuff.
Yeah. What was interesting, they were talking about this Aurora thing, and my brother-in-law called me yesterday when I was doing a little work. Called me to talk about that very same topic that we talked about, the gang in Aurora, and
Yeah.
of course we showed some thoughts about
They
our
kicked
state
that
as well.
gang out of that apartment complex.
Well, good for them. Maybe
Since
they
then,
should
there
keep
was
it
a
out of the
report on
state
that.
or out of the country, right? Those people don't need to be here.
Yeah. Well,
So-
they had it on camera. They were carrying AKs and pistols, right in the complex.
Dodge
in the
City,
hallways.
man.
Dodge
Crazy.
City, yeah.
It's crazy.
It's Colorado, right?
Yeah, that's not right. They again, in a state that's had some issues with some, shooting issues and stuff that have happened in the last decade or 2 decades. That's a sad state that they would allow that. So,
All
scary.
right, folks. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy your Sabbath tomorrow. We'll see you on Monday.
Make sure you're registered to vote.
Yes, it's coming up.
Yeah. Take care and have a good day. Thanks.